we're going to study the allegory in the book, The Terrible Things, that looks just like this. So we're going to do it on the document camera because I don't have 16 books. I just have one book. And if you'll follow along with me at the top, it says, an allegory often uses symbols to represent abstract concepts and may use animals to represent humans. In this case, this book is about animals and they're representative of human beings. Let's see, as you listen to your teacher read E. Bunting's book, Terrible Things, an Allegory of the Holocaust, take notes on this graphic organizer to understand Bunting's allegory. So for the first section that you're going to read, we're working on every creature with feathers on its back. And I'm going to try to stop right there in the story so that you can take notes on what happens, how the animals respond before, and then how the animals respond after. Are we good to go? Okay, Terrible Things by Eve Bunting. I'm going to do my best to do this over the document camera. Okay. Okay, the clearing in the woods was home to the small forest creatures. The birds and the squirrels shared the trees. The rabbits and porcupines shared the shade beneath the trees, and the frogs and fish shared the cool brown waters of the forest pond. They were content until the day the terrible things came. Little Rabbit saw their terrible shadows before he saw them. They stopped at the edge of the clearing, and their shadows blotted out the sun. We have come for every creature with feathers on its back, the terrible things thundered. We don't have feathers, the frog said. Nor we, said the squirrels. Nor we, said the porcupines. Nor we, said the rabbits. The little fish leaped from the water to show the shine of their scales, but the birds twittered nervously in the tops of the trees. Feathers! They rose in the air, then screamed away into the blue of the sky. But the terrible things had brought their terrible nets, and they flung them high and caught the birds and carried them away. The other forest creatures talked nervously among themselves. Those birds were always too noisy, old Porcupine said. Good riddance, I say. There's more room in the trees now, the squirrel said. Why did the terrible things want the birds? Little Rabbit asked. What's wrong with feathers? We mustn't ask, Big Rabbit asked. Big Rabbit said. The terrible things don't need a reason. Just be glad it wasn't us they wanted. So pausing there for a second, look at your graphic organizer, okay? How did the animals respond to the demands of the terrible things? What did the frogs and the squirrels and the porcupines and the rabbit and the fish say?
We don't have feathers.
We don't have feathers. They all said that. So in your graphic organizer, they all said the same thing. We don't have feathers. Nor we, nor we, nor we, nor we. Now, if we look at this page helps you on the right side of that graphic organizer because it says, how do the other animals respond after the terrible things have taken the animals? What did the porcupines and the squirrels say? It's up there. Go ahead, Hunter.
The porcupine said that they was basically, he was complaining about the more things and more things. And the squirrels were saying that they have more room now that they're going.
Okay, so basically the porcupine's happy because it's going to be quieter, and the squirrels are happy because they're going to have more room. What about Little Rabbit? What does Little Rabbit, how does Little Rabbit respond?
Question.
Go ahead, Marcus. Question like what?
They and why.
He wants to know why they took them, right? Like we're saying, what's wrong with feathers? I didn't see anything wrong with feathers, you know? And Big Rabbit's response to Little Rabbit's question is what?
They don't need it.
Okay, but more specifically, he ends up by saying, just be glad it's not us. Okay, so Big Rabbit's response to Little Rabbit is like, shh, don't ask any questions. Just be happy it's not us they wanted, okay? Just don't worry about it. Just concentrate on the fact that it's not us, okay? So now we're moving into the bottom of your graphic organizer, flip the page. Here we go. Now there were no birds to sing in the clearing, but life went on almost as before, until the day the terrible things came back. Little Rabbit heard the thump of their terrible feet before they came into sight. We have come for every bushy-tailed creature who lives in the clearing, the terrible things thundered. We have no tails, the frog said. Nor do we. Not real tails, the porcupine said. The little fish leaped from the water to show the smooth shine of their fin tails, and the rabbits turned their rumps so the terrible things could see for themselves. Our tails are round and furry, they said. By no means are they bushy. The squirrels chittered their fear and ran high into the treetops, but the terrible things swung their terrible nets higher than the squirrels could run and wider than the squirrels could leap, and they caught them all and carried them away. Those squirrels were greedy, Big Rabbit said, always storing away things for themselves, never sharing. But why did the terrible things take them away? Little Rabbit asked. Do the terrible things want the clearing for themselves? No, they have their own place, Big Rabbit said, but the terrible things don't need a reason. Just mind your own business, Little Rabbit. We don't want them to get mad at us. Okay, so backing up, on the left-hand side, their responses are pretty much the same. What do they say? I don't have a bushy tail. You're not looking at me. I didn't do it. It's almost like, you know how when kids get in trouble, they're like, I didn't do it. Not me. I didn't do it. I wasn't there. It's kind of like that mentality, you know what I'm saying? And then they leave someone out, kind of like throw someone under the bus. Now, on the right-hand side, you want Little Rabbit and Big Rabbit's response. So Little Rabbit wants to know the same thing he wants to know. Why? Why did they get taken away? Is it that they want this space for themselves? They just want to live in the forest, in this clearing in the forest by themselves? And Big Rabbit responds by saying what?
They need no reason.
They were greedy and just don't worry about it.
No, Big Rabbit. Not the, well, I guess you could say, yeah. Sorry. That they were greedy.
And just don't worry about it.
And just, yeah, basically, don't worry about it, worry about yourself. How many times has someone told you that? Don't worry about what's going on over there, just worry about yourself. That's kind of a little bit of what's going on here. Okay, so continuing on the back of your handout. Now there were no birds to sing or squirrels to chitter in the trees, but life in the clearing went on almost as before, until the day the terrible things came again. Little Rabbit heard the rumble of their terrible voices. We have come for every creature that swims, the terrible things thundered. Oh, we can't swim, the rabbit said quickly. And we can't swim, the porcupine said. The frogs dived deep in the forest pool and rippled spiraled like corkscrews on the dark brown water. The little fish darted this way and that in streaks of silver, but the terrible things threw their terrible nets down into the depths, and they dragged up the dripping frogs and the shimmering fish and carried them away. Why did the terrible things take them? Little Rabbit asked. What did the frogs and the fish do to them? Probably nothing, Big Rabbit said. But the terrible things don't need a reason. Many creatures dislike frogs, lumpy, slimy things, and fish are so cold and unfriendly, they never talk to any of us. Now there were no birds to sing, no squirrels to chitter, no frogs to croak, no fish to play in the forest pool. A nervous silence filled the clearing, but life went on almost as usual until the day the terrible things came back. Are we good with that graphic, that part, or do you need me to go over it? We're okay? You guys filled it in as you went? Okay, hang on. Let me just double check. What was the rabbits and the porcupines' response when the terrible thing showed up?
We can't swim.
Yeah,
Can't swim. I can't swim. Okay. What did Little Rabbit say?
Still remembering mine.
He wants to know why they got taken. Why did they get taken? What did they do wrong? And Big Rabbit's response,
Same thing, just don't worry about it.
yeah, kind of, sort of. You know, they probably did nothing wrong, but it's not anything that you need to worry yourself about. Okay, continuing on in the middle of your graphic organizer, Little Rabbit smelled their terrible smell before they came into sight. The rabbits and the porcupines looked everywhere except at each other. We have come for every creature that sprouts quills, the terrible things thundered. The rabbits stopped quivering. We don't have quills, they said, fluffing their soft white fur. The porcupines bristled with all their strength, but the terrible things covered them with the curl of their terrible nets, and the porcupines hung in them like flies in a spider's